coming along.
Hey, and welcome to Beyond the Booth. Howard Cheney here, along with Phil Harris. And our special guest tonight is one of the newest members of the DeKalb County Sports Hall of Fame, Hillary Phillips Wigley. Hillary, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So, Hillary, first thing, let me ask you, where was you at when you found out you became a member of the DeKalb County Sports Hall of Fame?
I believe maybe I was at home, I think.
And what was your reaction when you found out about it?
Honestly, I was just very honored. My coach, Coach Hughes had gave me a little bit of a heads up. He said, I think you may have the opportunity this time. And so he was actually the one I think that called me to congratulate me. And I was just very honored.
It's well-deserved. Congratulations from us here at RiverCity-Media for being that. A huge class that's going in this time. A lot of record breakers, and not only with them, but with you as well, being the pitcher and softball pitcher at Ider for. Did you start in the 7th grade or 8th grade?
7th grade.
Starting 7th grade. Tons of wins, tons of strikeouts, a lot of school records, and I think a couple of state records as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you know offhand which state records you got?
The only one I can remember is the strikeout record. And then I think maybe wins and a few more. I'm just not sure exactly which ones.
Hey, I've got them. I'll share them with you.
Oh, okay. All right, good deal. Phil's Johnny on the spot. He's got what we need. So we'll just go ahead and turn it over to Phil.
Well, the thing is, I had to write her bio, so I had to have all that information. But again, Hillary, welcome to the show. I know probably your family is probably as excited as you are about this because it's a big deal.
Yes, sir. They're very.
Yeah, I bet so. Now, a long while back, I worked alongside your mother when she was the backdoor receiving manager back at Kmart. So I got to know her at that time, and we used to talk about you a great deal back when you were coming up. But then she left, and then I still work for Frito-Lay, but she left, and I didn't get to see her as much. So I didn't get the updates on you while you were playing. You were just kind of coming up through your ranks. I know your dad was a big part of your upbringing. Into the softball and basketball ranks for sure. I think he coached basketball and football too. But your family was a big supporter. Your mom and dad was really behind you all the way through your playing days.
Oh, absolutely. I played every weekend. Usually in the summer, we would be traveling somewhere playing softball.
Yeah, she would tell me that we're going to so-and-so this weekend. We're going to so-and-so. I said, how do y'all manage that all the time? Of course, I mean, you'll sacrifice for your children. Of course, you know that now. You've got a new one now. Of course, congratulations. I know you're married to Sean Wigley. But how does it feel to be a mother?
They kind of tell you, like, what to expect. But then when you get to see your baby for the first time, like, there's no other kind of love that have your child. And like you said, how my parents would do anything for me, that's the same with mine. I would do anything for them as well.
Yeah, definitely so. And of course, your playing days at Ider, of course, I'll go over some of the stats. Y'all won 3 state titles. And your coach, David Hughes, tell us a little bit about him. We're going to have him on in an interview later on down the line. I got to speak with him a little bit today on text message, and he agreed to come on eventually. Tell us a little bit about the kind of person he was and how inspiring he was for you as a softball coach.
He was always encouraging for me. He always, just to have someone that believes in you, that's a big thing. Because when you step out there and if you have somebody you think, well, I don't know if they believe in me or not, it's a little bit harder to pitch. But when you have someone that backs you 110%, where they know they want the ball in your hand, it was just so much easier to pitch for him.
Definitely so. I know he had made a comment to someone. Of course, I heard it third party. And I asked him about it to make sure he had said that because I wanted to share it. But he said, you give me a Hillary Phillips and I'll plug in everything else and I'll win a state championship. That's a great honor. And that's a great thing to say about an individual.
Yes, absolutely.
And of course, he sent me a message today, and this is what he I'll quote him on this because it's coming from my phone. Hillary would definitely be the centerpiece of building a state championship team. She had a great work ethic, led by example, and had a pinpoint accuracy when she pitched. Hillary always excelled in very tight and close games. I believe she was built for those situations. She never showed emotion on the rubber, whether things are going good or going bad. So, this just goes to a very level-headed person. And of course, I know I've seen a couple of quotes that you've made that's a level of excellence that's hard to meet.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Hillary, I want to ask you about this. When I know you went into nursing when you went into college, are you doing any nursing now?
No, I started actually nursing when I found out that I was expecting my little boy. I did. My coach at Jacksonville actually got me started in pitching lessons when I was down there at college, and I just had success in that. And so when I was expecting him, I gave up the nursing. That way I could stay at home with him, and then I would work in the afternoons with my students. So that way my kids didn't have to go to daycare.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way of looking at it. And that was something I wanted to ask you about. All the years that your family was behind you, did you not ever think about going into coaching?
Maybe a little bit. Honestly, when I went to Jacksonville, I really just didn't know what I wanted to do. And pretty much when I went, it was you was going to be a teacher or a nurse. And I loved caring for the elderly people. My grandparents were a little bit older, and I loved being with them and caring for them. So that's really what led me more in the nursing direction instead of the coaching direction.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, my wife, she got to that point when she was going to college and she tried to pick nursing or teaching, and she finally chose nursing. And sometimes she'll say, "I wished I'd have been a teacher." So, nursing is a demanding job for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Howie, do you got a couple of questions you want to ask? And I'll.
It's basically you kind of came along when Pisgah was on a big roll during their time as well, but you held your own against the Pisgahs of, you wasn't in the same area, but you played each other a lot. Playing a team like that, how much did it help you along the way?
It was always the right when I started. My dad, he actually, I played travel in Chattanooga, and he was like, I'm going to keep you away as long as I can. That way, when I bring you back, nobody's watched you or, been able to hit off you. And so when I came back, it was my 7th grade year. And the first time we played Pisgah, I'll never forget it when it was at Ider. It really looked like a college game. I mean, it was just completely packed. And I think that was the first time we'd beat Pisgah. And I couldn't tell you how long. It had been years. If we had ever beat them, I'm not really sure.
I know they kind of laid the groundwork for the softball. Then it came up with Ider right behind them, led by you with those state championships as well. And a lot of people looked up to you, younger kids looked up to you because you were a phenom at the age of, 7th grade. So you was like, 13 years old, maybe?
Right. I think so. Yeah. 13.
So, going against the Pisgahs of the world helped you out to win those state championships. And your dad, Mark, I had a chance to talk to him several times, not about the softball, but about the baseball. But I know he's very proud of all the hard work that you done because, like y'all kind of touched on a while ago, there was no time off at the Phillips household.
No, sir. But I will go 1 through 9. They was always dominant. You wasn't just going to see the first 4 be able to hit. So it did. It definitely prepared when you're having to be on top of your game 1 through 9. So it helped prepare just playing them. But it's funny. We actually went to lunch today and I seen Coach Duncan at lunch.
Yeah, another Hall of Famer there. He was one of the ones that laid the groundwork for fast pitch softball because I'll sound old when I say this, but during my time in school, fast pitch softball wasn't really a thing. It was all slow pitch. And then it gradually got to where it was fast pitch. And like I said, you and Pisgah, everybody just laid the groundwork for all that, and the 3 state championships. So with 3 state championships, I know you have rings and all that. Where do you keep your rings at the moment?
I believe they're in one of my drawers in the house. My mom kept a few of them because I was at Jacksonville and my car had got broke into, and I had a couple of my Jacksonville State rings stolen. So I believe there's a few in my house, and I gave a few to my mom.
I remember watching you at Jacksonville State because not only did you carry that success from Ider, and Phil will touch on this here in a few minutes. He stepped away for a minute for some reason, but I know you carried that success from Ider to Jacksonville State. How was that going from a small 2A school up to a big school like Jacksonville State?
It really was a transition for me. I mean, when you're used to being one of the top players and you go in and I hate to say just a number, but I mean, everyone around you is just as good or better. So it made me have to work even harder than, what I really did in high school. It was definitely a challenge.
So I don't know if this is kept up with much in softball like it is in baseball, but what was your fastest pitch that you ever pitched?
66.
How did your arm just not go flying off? I mean, it's,
I gained a lot of speed when I went to Jacksonville. There was a really good weight program, and I had gained speed there.
I was at a local restaurant and ran into a buddy of mine, and he was sitting there watching the College World Series or the Softball World Series, and it was Florida and someone, and we was just watching them pitch, and I'm like, how's their arm not falling off? But you pitch a lot of innings as well. How did you fight fatigue or arm fatigue, I guess?
It was really, to me, more of game shape. Like I was probably, when I was growing up, I would throw about 6 games in a day, especially on the weekends. In college, it wasn't as demanding. You didn't play as many games in a day. So it was a little bit easier, but definitely running and conditioning was a big part of it.
And I'm going to make an assumption. I guess there's a lot of ice put on the arm as well.
I ended up tearing my arm. It was my sophomore or junior year of college, and I had to have surgery after that. But it lasted a long time before I had to have surgery.
Right. Phil will be joining us back here in just a minute. Phil's internet's not the best in the world, so sometimes he gets kicked off, and it'll take him a minute. He's got all the information about the Hall of Fame, but it's coming up very soon. Are you nervous about giving a speech or anything?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just not a big talker, and I told him, I was like, I really don't have to, but I mean, I am honored though. It's definitely such an honor, so I'm very thankful.
Yeah, well deserved as well. I mean, 3 state championships, like I said, a lot of Ider school records that'll probably never be broken. Some state records that may not be touched either. So, but Phil touched on it earlier, and Wayne, you kind of touched on it a few minutes ago. Before, you're married to Sean Wigley. You're got 2 kids, and you said the young man was playing sports, but the young lady, she likes the beauty process.
She does. She loves beauty pageants. Now she has started playing softball, and she's coming around a little bit, but she likes to get dressed up and wear makeup. And so she's different than I am, but it's also been a lot of fun to do something a little different than what I'm used to doing.
Right. Absolutely. It's always entertaining and fun to watch kids grow up. I have 2 girls, and they're as different as daylight and dark. And, having a boy and a girl, I'm sure that's the same way as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So you started in 7th grade at Ider, played all the way up, won the 3 state titles, moved on to Jacksonville. The playing time there at Jacksonville, you got to play a lot, actually, not really at the very first, but you worked your way into the starting lineup. How much hard work did that take to be able to get in there?
It was definitely a lot of staying after practices, putting in that extra work, being able to, I pitched pretty good bit my freshman year, but really my sophomore year, I developed a lot better changeup, and was able to, have a little bit more success that following year. I think I maybe went 7-0 that year, but like I said, it was just a different. See, in high school, I pitched at 40 feet, and then when I went to college, it was 43. So I think my senior year was the last year at 40 feet. So it was definitely an adjustment for me, just to get used to the difference. It was a little bit different speed of game for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine so. And kind of like what you mentioned earlier, everybody is same skill level, compared to high school.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I kind of want to jump back to high school real quick before we go back to Jacksonville. And I'd be remiss by not asking you about your battery there. I know that you had to have a different catcher through all those years. So would you, and no disrespect, you couldn't do it all by yourself. You had to have somebody back there helping frame the pitches and everything. So do you remember the catchers that was back there helping you out?
Chaz New York, and then Linda Ring, and then my senior year, actually, Keisha Lipham. She was my catcher my senior year.
Okay, so let's go to Jacksonville and talk about that your battery there as far as them helping you out.
Her name was Casey Crow, and we actually played against each other because I played travel ball in Chattanooga, and that's where she came from. So we actually, played against each other in the travel ball world. She was a little older than I was, but that was, that was a little bit of a relief going in, knowing, I'd already knew who my catcher was, prior growing up. So that made the transition a little bit easier.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into my next question, because I was going to ask you, as far as coming from Ider to Jacksonville, it's a big move. And I was wondering if you knew anybody there before you got there, or did anybody come with you?
No, not the year I went, but then it ended up where Ella Dennis and Shelby Holly, they eventually came. So I knew of them. I think I was a senior and they were a freshman, but mainly just my catcher. And then of course, I have one of my best friends that I made down there. She come from Springville. Her name was Savannah Henning. She was also a pitcher.
I'm sure there's a lot of friendships made on that, because you play, 60 games a year during college. Is it somewhere in that neighborhood?
I cannot remember, to be honest. It was a lot. I mean, you're traveling with them every weekend. You're on the road, so there's a lot of, you're with them more than you're with anybody else.
Yeah, that's kind of leading up to my point there, as far as you spend a lot of time away from home as well. Your second home at Jacksonville, away with them on the road, traveling, a lot of bus rides, I can imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. A lot of bus rides, study hall on the buses. Yeah, it was a lot of fun though.
Yeah. Could you touch on that for a second, as far as these young kids that's fixing to go on to college and play the sports and all that? Just because you're on a road trip playing a game doesn't mean the studies stop, does it?
Oh, no, sir. You're it. In college, you're responsible, a lot more responsible. They're not chasing you down to give you your work. So, with being in a sport, though, it made it. Coach kind of kept us a little bit more at base, but it's a lot bigger responsibility. You go, you get your work, you're responsible for turning it in. So it's a big deal. We would go in between rides, from to place. There was a certain time we'd have to study and make sure we got all of our work done.
So did Jacksonville have their own private bus that they carried, or was it something else?
Yeah, we had a chartered bus every time we went.
Okay. Well, that had to make the rides a little easier. Of course, I'm sure you spent many hours from Jacksonville to wherever your destination was.
Right.
Oh, but did a lot of your teammates help you out? Was y'all taking some of the same courses to try to help combat that?
We did. there had not been any softball players that had went through the nursing program just because of how hard Jacksonville's nursing program is. But actually, my catcher, she went in the semester before I did, so it really kind of helped to have her there. She kind of, she figured out the studying routine, and she really helped me.
That's awesome. So, not only was you a pitcher, you was a pretty good hitter as well, if I'm not mistaken.
In high school, yes, I didn't hit in college, but in high school I did.
Okay, all right. I'm not real familiar with the college rules, so I wasn't sure if you was doing any hitting in the college ranks or not.
No,
So,
I got to college. I was pitcher only.
right. So, but we're here talking about the Hall of Fame and all that. You're going in here in just a few weeks. Going in with Jamie Vest from Valley Head, Coach Paul Benefield, quite a few more. Phil's got the list. He's sending me a text at the moment, but I can't really answer the text because I'm talking with you. But he must be having a little bit of internet issues. So, but back to your high school days. You wasn't just a one sport athlete. You also played basketball as well.
Yes, sir.
And you was very good at basketball. You and your teammates went to the Birmingham, I know, at least once, if not twice.
We did our junior and senior year.
Yeah,
we got senior year.
Came in second, yeah. And the coach that you had then is the coach that Ider has now, and Coach Jamie Pruitt. So he got his state championship this past year.
Yes, very excited for the girls.
So quick, Jamie's been on here once before. So let me ask you, as far as playing underneath him, as far as basketball, how was he?
He was a lot of fun to play for. I mean, we all had a lot of fun. We had went through, honestly, several coaches when I was there. I started in the 7th grade to my senior year. I think we went through at least 3 different coaches. So he came in my junior and senior year, and my 10th grade year, I don't even know that we made it out of area. Maybe we did. I can't remember. But anyway, we needed something fresh. And like I said, he was a lot of fun. He was run and go. So our team, we responded well. We were quick, off the press and stuff. So it was really a breath of fresh air, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the people we've talked to in the past said he is a player's coach. He enjoys, he wants the best out of you, but he also wants to have fun while you're doing it.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about your coach there, David Hughes there at Ider. Was he your coach from 7th grade all the way to graduation?
He was. Him and then my dad.
Right. Okay. Yes, that's right. I remember Mark coaching you for a few years there as well. So,
yeah.
So that's great. And then at Jackson, would you just have the one coach?
Yes, Coach McGinnis, and then my pitching coach was Coach Wisner, and then Coach Julie. She was the hitting coach when I was there, and she's still there.
Oh, okay. Wow. She's been there for quite a while then.
Yes, Coach McGinnis and Coach Julie. Yes.
That's good. And it had to be helpful when those Pisgah girls came in to give you a kind of a Sand Mountain feel at Jacksonville, to when you reference something, they knew kind of what you was talking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They were a lot of fun. I still, Ella, she gave hitting lessons for a long time at the same place I did. So we stayed in touch for a while, and I loved Ella.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to, before you get off here, you still give the pitching lessons, and we want to get that information, put it on RiverCity-Media for anybody that wants to join up and take some pitching lessons from you for the young ones. What age group do you start at as far as giving pitching lessons, or what age group do you recommend starting?
The youngest ones I have is 7. I have them usually from 7 till seniors. I have a few that still come to me when they go to college. So just young. I started when I was 5. But the youngest, I might have had one that was 6, but I've had a couple that was 7. That's been the youngest.
Oh, that's nice. Get them started early, get the form down in the proper way to release and do all the pitching.
Yes, absolutely.
So let me ask a little bit about the pitching here, because I'm not I'm a little familiar with it, but not a whole lot. But when it comes to pitching, is it kind of like baseball? Is the grip determines on whether it's going to be a fastball or a curveball or anything like a changeup?
The grip, yes, you have different grips, but it's really, a little bit of our step and then, different wrist positions. And, if we stay under the ball or get over the top of the ball, because I don't know much about baseball, but, our drop balls, we have to roll over the top, and then rise, we have to stay under the ball. And so I don't know how much it is like baseball, but it definitely, you have different grips for sure.
It kind of seems like the grip has a lot to do with it with pitchers in baseball and as far as softball as well. So, and like I say, Phil's having a little technical difficulty. Hopefully he'll be back here in a few minutes. And so we'll chug right along here. You went in nursing after you got done with the at Jacksonville. You graduated, and there he is.
Yeah, I've been listening to y'all for about 30 minutes. There wasn't nobody around to put me back on.
Oh, okay. I've talked our ears off, so I'll let you take control here, Phil, because we've talked a little bit of everything, and you said you're just listening, so kind of
basically what you covered. Yeah, a lot of the college stuff for sure. Of course, there was a couple of things. Lou Gillen was actually the one that nominated you, and I know he did a story on you one time, and you made a quote one time, and I added it to your bio because I thought it was very important, and I kind of want to read it back to you. It says, Hillary, it said, I've always been a perfectionist, and hard work is always, is something I, do because I want it done right, and putting in the extra time not only makes me a better person, but it makes me a better player. And what really caught my eye on that is you first referred to better person, and that's important because what you do out of competitive athletics is you become a better person. Yes, you're playing ball. It's competitive. You're there to win. But at the end of the day, you are working to be a better person. That's what every athlete needs to get from playing any kind of sport.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And that's what I always tell all of my girls. I tell them, I said, one day this yellow ball will go away, but, we have to be great. I want them all to be great adults, be able to succeed in life. And that's what I tell them. It starts really here. It starts with your work ethic. It'll take you into your job. It'll help you with your boss. It'll help you with your family one day. And I tell them, I'm like, that is the end goal for me, for you. Yes, I want you to be an amazing softball player, an amazing pitcher, but most of all, I really want you to be, a good human.
Yeah, of course, in your days of playing softball, and you kind of probably a lot different today. I mean, coaches and you got your name out playing AAU ball, but nowadays it seems like players, it's at a different level now. A lot of times the players, and I'm sure you can understand that you've got to be the one that really initiates if you're going to play at the next level. A coach can only get you so far. Playing AAU can only get you so far. The most important thing for high school kids now is to make relationships at the highest level. Sometimes you have to be the one that takes the initiative so those coaches get to know you because they don't have time to do the recruiting anymore like they used to.
Right. And that's what I tell them, when they do come, I always tell them, I'm like, it matters how you act. It matters with your attitude. Coaches are not going to look at you if they see you over there with a bad attitude. Because like you said, there's so many good athletes nowadays, that have worked and they just have a lot more availability to them than what really we did. And I tell them, I'm like, you have to be able to stand apart from the rest of them. And it really does start with their attitude and how they carry themselves.
Well, Hillary, all through when you were playing softball, when you was coming up through, was that your goal to play at the college level?
I mean, when I was really little, I would watch the World Series a little bit, on TV as a little girl. But when I started getting older, I thought, because I was kind of told my whole life, you're small, you probably won't have the opportunity. And for me, that kind of just said it, I want to prove, that I can do it and work hard. And that's what I tell all my kids now, whether you're told you can or you can't, you know what I mean? Like, you can if you work and if you put the time into it. So that kind of
Yeah.
what made my journey to play college softball.
Yeah, in other words, you're just going to prove everybody wrong, no matter what. And that's a great way. I mean, because that's one thing about it. And I tell everybody, all your dreams, don't ever give up. You may have to change them a little bit, but it's like when I was 9 years old, I knew I wanted to be in sports radio, I wanted to do broadcasting. Well, I just kept plugging away till it happened. If you want something bad enough, it'll come to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Hillary, that's. Of course, I know you and Howie talked about your, pitching, and of course that's a big inspiration for young people now. And and one-on-one is important. Not only, of course, Gino Oriema is best about a lot of players now play a lot of games, but they don't spend a lot of time on fundamentals. So that's the part of the game you're able to add to these young people, because sometimes when you play a lot of games and you get tired, you get into bad habits.
Right. And that's what I tell them all the time. I tell them, I said, I know you're tired of hearing me say the same thing over and over. But like you said, when you do get tired, those fundamentals, that's what gets you through it.
Yeah, because if you're not fundamentally sound, like you were talking about, you hurt your arm. I remember when Holly Kerr, when she pitched at Pisgah, she hurt her back. And come to find out, it was her pitching style that was causing it. So she went back and fixed things, and then she didn't have back trouble anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Mechanics.
So that's
role. You're right.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, here you was talking about the College World Series. Who were some of the college players you kind of looked up to that inspired you when you watched the College World Series?
Jeannie Finch was a big one when I was young. So she started coming out with all of her gloves and stuff, and I can remember getting her little glove and it had pink on it. So that was probably my first. She was probably definitely the first one for me.
Yeah, that's a good one, definitely. So, I mean, there's been a lot in the past. Of course, college softball's changed a lot now. It used to be basically all pitching, but hitting has really improved. You don't have 1-0 and 2-1 games anymore. You can have two good pitchers be on their best and still be a 4-3 game. The game has really evolved, especially for the hitters.
Yes, and that's what I tell my kids now. Like, you're not going to throw it by a hitter anymore. It's just not going to happen. You've got to be able to spin the ball, and you've got to be able to place that ball and really have a good off-speed pitch to be able to compete nowadays.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like that Greg Maddux mentality where you want them to make contact, but you don't want it to be solid contact.
Right. Coach McGinnis should always say, keep it in the fence.
Yeah, that's a big thing, because I know that's a big thing, especially now. Well, I wanted to share some of the accomplishments you've had. And this is what Howard was talking about. Of course, you led Ider to the 2A state title in 2006, 2008, and 2009, and you were the state tournament MVP all 3 times. Was state's Mrs. Softball in 2009. At the time of her selection, she was the second player to ever win that award that didn't play at a 6A school. So that, that really shows, how competitive Ider was and how good they were at that time. And I know you led the charge in, but, everybody saw your softball team, and that puts you on a high level when y'all were equal to a 6A type team.
Absolutely. Every weekend, instead of, they'd have different classifications, and Coach Hughes, he wouldn't put us in the 1 through 3A. We always played 4 through 6A. So we constantly was playing those classifications instead of our classification.
And of course, you was talking about Coach Hughes, and I wanted to share a thing with him. He's won like 924 games as a softball coach since 1998, and is still currently coaching. And he's had a long a long career. But, of course, it's kind of highlighted, during your days. But he's an excellent softball coach. He's sending 3 more this year to the next level. They've signed junior college. And what do you think about Northeast now having softball? That's going to give some kids some opportunity to play softball that would never get the opportunity had it not been for them. And I appreciate Dr. Campbell for doing that to bring back athletics at Northeast, because we're going to have some softball players around here that gets to play, and you'll actually get to see them at the next level.
I actually had the opportunity to go with one of my pitching students on her recruiting visit maybe last week, and honestly, I was very impressed. It was the stadium what we got to see. I know they laid the turf now, but it was beautiful. And the coach, he actually recruited me when I was in high school. So it was kind of neat to be able to talk with him. But it was just very encouraging for all the girls. And like I said, she's going to be a junior, I think, or I don't know. They all run together, but she committed that day. So it's a big opportunity for the girls around here. And I'm super excited for all of them.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I want to share some more of the awards you had. Also, you were the 2A Player of the Year as a junior, and Class 2A Pitcher of the Year, and MVP as a senior. Made the Alabama Sports Writers Association's 10-player super team from 2006 through 2009. That is an elite group right there. And of course, in your statistics, your senior year, you were 28-3, had a .54 earned run average. In 163 innings, you allowed 43 hits, 42 walks, and struck out 308. And you also batted .385, which is not bad. But your junior year is when you really excel, when you were 30-0 with a .27 earned run average in 157 innings, struck out 341. You also hit 437, scored 53 runs from the leadoff position. So you were no slouch hitting the softball too, even though you excelled pitching.
Right. I was pretty quick. I could usually, if I could get the ball to bounce one time, I could usually make it to first.
Yeah. That it's amazing that the statistics you have, and even Lou Gillen said, when we were talking about that he nominated you when he wrote in that article, he said you were probably the most dominating athlete he ever seen. So, I think it's safe to say it can be arguably, but you may have been the best softball player that's ever played in Ider, in Dekalb County is what I'm going to say. And, and that's what makes it a great honor going into the Hall of Fame, because you have to be nominated, of course, but you're selected by your peers. I'm on that committee, and when we were in there voting, you were highly spoken of, and you were, it was well deserved. You were voted in, and I'm excited for you.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Yeah. And of course, y'all were talking about the state all-time career list that she had in state history. Wins was 197, no hitters 34, shutouts 94, and strikeouts 2,463, and a career earned run average of .66. That 2,463 strikeouts, Hillary, that's going to be hard to beat, because teams don't play as many games anymore. They have limited how many regular season games you can play. You can play all these tournaments, but you don't see. I think y'all played it sometimes up to 70 softball games. But now they've cut that back to where maybe you play 50. So that record is going to be definitely hard to beat.
I always tell my girls, so I'm like, if anybody beats the record, I would love for one of my pitching students to beat it.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. You could be there. That's the one good thing, and get to be a part of that. Well, Hillary, I know Howie may have some more questions for you, but we sure appreciate you coming on. And of course, if there is anything you want to share, of course, from me, tell your mother hello, of course. And I guess she's enjoying being a grandmother, right?
She actually has R2 right now. They're going swimming at Mimi's house.
Well, that's great. I'd like to hear again. Of course, I will possibly. I guess she's going to be at the banquet, so I will get to see her. It's been a long time since I have. I guess, have you got a pretty good group coming with you?
Yes, probably 10, maybe. I think maybe more. 12, 13, I don't know. My brother will be there, my aunt will be there, and my in-laws will be there, and my sister, brother-in-law.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Tell us a little bit about Sean. Of course, the family business is the Wigley Trucking. Ain't that who y'all, who that family is? I know of, but I just don't know if that's for sure or not. Yes,
he sold that business a couple of years ago, but yes, that's Rogers, his dad. Yes, and he owned the Wigley.
Okay. So they're not in that anymore.
No, sir.
Oh, So he's just enjoying being a dad. He's probably would not be as busy. How good of a father is he? Let's throw him under the bus a little bit. Is he a great father?
Roger or Sean?
Sean.
Sean really is. He really is a good dad. He's very hands-on. He, sometimes kids might get on the dad's nerves a little bit, but he takes our kids wherever he goes. He really is a good dad.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Family is so important. And, and I think when you do have kids, it puts it in perspective. And when you're teaching and pitching, you kind of take those kids on as your own also. But, it's kind of an extended family. And when you have your own, you know exactly what it means and what an inspiration you are for them.
Yes, that's what I tell them all. I have 50, 60 extra kids usually at one time. But they're just like mine.
Well, do you get to go out and watch many softball games, or you just kind of sort of keep up with the ones that you teach?
I try to go when they make it to, regionals and state. And I got to see a couple play this weekend. My little girl, she's playing in All-Stars. So I had a couple pitchers on other fields. So I got to watch them. It's harder to watch, get to go watch them because I'm doing lessons all week and kind of away from my kids. So I try on the weekends, to really do stuff with mine, but I go as much as I can.
Well, do any of the coaches around the area, do they ever call you and ask you for your expertise when it comes to pitching, or did they ask you to maybe come mentor some of their players sometimes?
Yes, I actually had the opportunity to go to one school, and during their athletic period, I would give them their lessons, but I usually have at least one or two kids from every high school, local schools usually.
Yeah, so you take a lot of interest in all of them. I know you're an Ider Hornet by heart, but then when you get out, it's kind of like the way we are in media. You wear different hats. You when they take those masks off or they take those uniforms off, they're all kids. So you root for all of them. It doesn't matter what color they wear.
Absolutely, yes. I have a few from Ider. Brinley is one of mine. So, she was hurt this time, so I didn't get to watch her as much. But I've definitely had several Ider girls. And then Courtney Blevins, I helped her too when she was there, and she was very successful at Ider as well.
Yeah, she was the one you was talking about, the picture that she kind of, I went to sing the Valleyhead and Ider game. Valleyhead beat Ider the first time, but I saw the second time when Ider won 4-0. And that was kind of one of the things that hurt them. One of their pitchers was hurt. And, of course, Ider kind of got off to a slow start. Basketball ran strong. And, they had some outstanding players in their team, but it seemed like they didn't get enough games in to really get going. And then they had, kind of the accident at the end of the year. But I'm going to tell you one player that I was impressed with is McKinley Traylor. I know she is a great basketball player, but she is a dang good hitter too. Of course, I think she normally likes to play center field, but they had her at shortstop. But she's a great hitter.
She is. She's a hard worker. She's just a gamer, really. My dad and her dad worked at the same place, so I've got to watch her grow up, and she really does. She just gives 110% at whatever she's doing.
Yeah, and that goes a long way. I know they play travel ball. I know her mother. I met her mother at the softball game. She said they've been up to Chicago to play basketball. They go all over the place. But McKinley's also a great basketball player. Of course, when she came back, Ider was a whole totally different team in basketball. They were good, but without her, it took them to another level. So, and it made – and I know I talked with – we talked with Coach Pruitt. When she did come back, everybody else was thrown out of their roles, but they become better players. But then when they went back to their roles, everybody – the whole team seemed to excel after that. So it was exciting to see them make that run in the basketball playoffs.
Yes, absolutely. It was very proud. I mean, she's definitely their leader. So whenever, she was able to come back, and she made them beat. She definitely did. So she did great this year. I was proud of her being able to come back and overcome her injury this time.
Well, Hillary, I know you're a great inspiration to many. I mean, I know many enjoyed watching you played softball in your days, and I'm glad you are able to give back by teaching pitching lessons, because anytime you can give back, that's important in a community, because it takes us all. to make things work around here. We all have our jobs to do. We all have our roles. And, that's what the good Lord put us on this earth for, is, make everybody else's life better. And sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself. But that's what this is all about.
Absolutely. That's what I tell all my girls. I want them to know I have your back. If you need anything, because it's much more, I tell them all, it's much more than the yellow ball for me. I'll pray with you. I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'm more than your pitching coach. And that's what I make sure they all know, that, I'm not just your pitching coach. I'm there for you if you need me.
Well, Howie, is there anything you want to add?
I kind of want to go back to something that you mentioned a few minutes ago, and Hillary had to deal with this back in her junior and senior year, as far as playing basketball all the way up to the end and then trying to get caught up with softball. How difficult is that, a transition from basketball to softball?
When you make it, as long as the girls did, it really is. Because a lot of teams have already played 10 plus games by the time you get out there and you really get going. For me, and I had one of my best friends in school, we played travel softball year round. So I felt like it wasn't as big as a transition for us, because I was constantly pitching and, hitting, but it is different. I mean, because like he said, they didn't get as many games in as a lot of the other teams that I was helping. They had already played several games. So it definitely is a challenge to be able to do both. Because when you get that far in basketball, I mean, you want to focus on that. You don't want to have to try to focus on softball at the time, because you're there to win a state title in basketball, just like softball. So I would say it's definitely a challenge.
Absolutely. And I can't let you go without asking the one question I've asked every athlete or coach on here. Did you have any superstitions or anything that you had to do before you went on to the court or to the softball field?
When I would get in the batter's box, I would try to act like I was wiping the chalk away. That was just something for me with hitting. And then I had the same routine that I'd do every time before I'd pitch the softball. So, I mean, I guess more of a routine, a little bit, a little bit of a comfort zone, I guess you would say. But I didn't have any crazy things, I guess.
I guess it's one of those things where after a while, it just becomes a habit and you don't even think about it.
Right. It is. It's more of, and then certain ways when I'd get the basketball to shoot it, I want it just a certain way when I would catch it, just little, like you said, more of a routine, I guess.
So being kind of piggyback off that real quick, and then we'll let you go. Being at Jacksonville, what was possibly some of the craziest routines or habits that you might have saw on there?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I mean, we all changed our socks and wore different. I know some people are like wearing the same type of socks if you win or stuff like that. But, for the most part, we didn't have any crazy. Our coach, she did make us one time carry around a softball. We'd carry it to class. We'd have to sleep with it. So I guess that's probably the craziest thing we've ever had to do, was literally carry the softball around and sleep with it. She wanted to make sure we were focused on softball 24/7.
That's good. Good deal. Phil,
Hillary, I want to ask you this question. When you played softball, basketball, and all the competitive sports you played, what did you do for fun outside of athletics? What were your interests?
We went to the river a little bit. The older I got, we did that. But I'm not going to lie, to be honest, we literally was at a ball field probably every weekend. That was just, some people think that's crazy, but for us, that was what was fun. It was like an extra family. We would, if we'd go to the beach, we'd make a vacation out of that. So that was really, I remember we'd go to Florida and we'd go to like the amusement parks and stuff like that. So that really turned into my hobby, my love. And I had my best friend, Jade. She lived right beside me growing up. So, during the day she'd come over and we'd go swimming and do stuff like that. So pretty much with her was inseparable. So we always, did stuff together, but it was mainly with our softball family.
Well, the one thing I want to point out too, I mean, it's, I played and I was played at Valley Head and played football. And we won a state championship, and you won 3 state championships, and that's all great. It's great to bring home that blue trophy, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. And you just kind of sort of spoke on that. It's the relationships, it's the friendships, it's the memories, it's all those things that go into winning that title. It's that climb. And that's what you basically remember, because I can remember when I played, it was great to win a state championship, but then all of a sudden you think the season's over. We can't play anymore. We're done. So, but then you think, well, that wasn't what this was about. It was the climb. It was about the friendships. It's about the sweat and the tears, the losses that hurt. All that rolled into one. That's what competitive sports is all about, the ups and downs and how to deal with those ups and downs.
Yes, I agree. That's where, some of my best friends is from softball and from high school and college. So, and for me, I'm a very quiet person, so I'm not very outgoing. I'm not one just would probably go up and talk to somebody. So for me, softball, it really was everything. It brought relationships that I probably would never have if it wasn't for the game.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Hillary, I know you was nervous about doing this, but you did well. I mean, we've enjoyed having you on, and I know what you mean about as I was growing up, I was kind of quiet and kind of reserved. But the more I got into talking, the more I got into radio, and I got to meeting people and got comfortable around people, I have become a people person, and I enjoy that. And anytime I'm not out amongst people, I'm bored. That's just what I'm used to. That's what I've always done. I've worked for Frito-Lay, and the one thing that keeps me going is all the friendships and relationships, because you go see these people every day and they look forward to seeing you. And when you don't have that, you miss it.
Absolutely. My husband, he made a joke I said, I'm going to go outside so it's quiet. He asked how long. I said 45 minutes. He said, oh man, I hope they got to ask you a lot of questions. He said, awful lot at 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, of course, we've had everybody tell us, a lot of time, Coach King told us this, Jamie Vest told us this. That was the fastest hour I've ever talked. I didn't, it went by fast, and I really enjoyed it. So, but it's great to have you come on and share your story. It's inspiring. And, that's the reason we do this, because there's going to be kids that watch this and listen to it, coaches, and whatnot. They can share stories. And two, they also learn a little bit about you other than being just a softball player.
Right. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, Howie, you want to wrap it up?
We'll wrap it up. Hillary Phillips Wigley. I got to throw the Phillips in there because that's how I've known you forever.
Yeah.
Congratulations on being the newest member of the DeKalb County Sports Hall of Fame. If you will, before we go, can you give a quick plug to your pitching academy?
I just would like for all to know how proud I am of each and every one of them, and that we're just going to continue to work hard, and the future's bright for each and every one of them.
Well, Hillary, if somebody wanted to be in your academy, how would they get in touch with
you? I usually have a lot. I've never really, put the information out there. It's just kind of been word of mouth. Some will just message me on Facebook or, and kind of go from a waiting list to, whenever I have availability, I just kind of do it that way.
Okay. Phil took the question right away from me because I was fixing to ask how to get in contact with you. So,
yeah.
There it is. Do a PM to Hillary Wigley on Facebook, and she will put you on the waiting list. And that sounds great that you have a waiting list. That means there's a lot of young ladies out there that's wanting to grow up to be the next Hillary Phillips.
Well, I have been blessed. The Lord has definitely blessed me in this journey. Like I'd said before, I started when I was 5, and now I'm 33, about to be 34, I think. And it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. Started with my dad, and, now I sit on the bucket and catch those girls like he caught me. So, it's been a dream come true, really.
Yeah, that's one of it. You're able to continue your dad's legacy, because everybody leaves a legacy, and you want that to live on, and it lives on through you. And that's inspiring, definitely.
Yes,
absolutely.
Blessed with with an amazing dad.
Absolutely. Hillary, thanks once again for joining us. Anytime you want to come on here, and if you decide to promote your pitching academy, you're more than welcome. Come on here and you know, let us know what we need to do to help you out. If you got some girls that's coming up, if you'd like for them to come on the show, let us know. We'll be more than happy to get them on here. But congratulations. If you get up there and give that speech just like you did on here, it'll be no problem at the Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll do fine. You'll do fine. And I look forward to meeting you on Saturday also.
Yes, absolutely.
So for Miss Hillary Phillips Wigley, for Phil Harris, I'm Howard Chaney. This is Beyond the Booth. Good night and God bless.